Hey guys, good morning, or good evening, or good afternoon, or whatever it is. And what do you say when it's actually noon, right? Like when it's not afternoon and not morning. What do you say? Happy noon? Or do you just avoid saying anything to anyone as you're walking by because it sounds stupid? That is something that keeps me up at night. So, if anyone's got an answer. So, Ableton producers, what's up? You, me, a cup of tea, and my red rum cup. That I actually got from the Stanley Hotel here in Colorado. That is actually where Stephen King stayed and was inspired and wrote the book The Shining. I don't know how long he stayed at the hotel, but I think he wrote a good portion of the book at the hotel. So very cool stuff. It's not the hotel that was used in the movie, but it was the hotel that was used in the TV version of the show. Also interesting. So the book was written at the Stanley Hotel, and then it was directed by Stanley Kubrick. Coincidence? Anyway, my topic today is going to be about binging videos and why you shouldn't be doing it. And I know you're all doing this. I know you all binge videos, so you really need to chill out because honestly, let's just stop right now and take a look at where you're at. Where are you at with your binge watching? Where has it gotten you? Has your binging on tutorials equated to you finishing quality songs consistently? What is the ratio for every 10 hours that you put into binge watching videos? How many songs are coming out of that? Well, the problem is that binge watching is counterproductive. It trains your brain to get those pleasure chemicals just by feeding yourself information. That's where your pleasure comes from. Your pleasure doesn't actually come from finishing anything. So there's no motivation to actually put the information to use. So the only thing that you get out of binge watching is maybe a few bragging rights that you might know, some techniques that other people, and I might mention other probably much more productive people don't know. But when it comes down to it, you don't really need to know everything to finish songs. So what are you doing? You're feeding your ego, but you're not feeding your art at all. So if you're feeding the ego and you're not feeding your art, and that becomes your addiction, where do you think you're going to be after a few more years? I mean, where has it gotten you over the last few years? You and I both know that, you've probably learned a few things from some videos that you have actually put to use. But for the most part, you've learned nothing that has stuck in your head because what do? You binge on all this information that you don't even need to use right now and you might not ever need to use. And then you forget 95% of everything that you just watched and you feel smarter at the same time. So, it's counterproductive on so many different layers. So yeah, if you're consuming without implementing, you're basically breathing in and expecting to be fine just breathing in and not breathing out, right? You need to immediately put things to practice. So if you are going to be watching tutorials, if you are going to be learning the art of producing through courses or videos or free stuff, you really need to have an idea of what process you actually need to be learning instead of just learning things that seem cool at the time. I've learned loads of things that seem really cool at the time that I've never put to use. And I just get addicted to watching these videos because of the fact that there's just kind of a coolness factor. This guy's making really weird or crazy sounds or making interesting bass lines or whatever it is that the guy's doing is something that I will never, ever use in my music. So why am I spending hours upon hours watching this guy on binge mode? It's just a lazy way to feel smarter. At the end of the day, that's really all it is, unfortunately. It's not that you can't put this to use. It's just that most of the things that you binge on have no use in your art, right? So basically binging becomes the art killer because you get all those happy feeling chemicals in your brain that tell you that you're doing something that's really great. and it makes you feel good. It makes you feel smarter. But then it just like overeating, it just makes you lethargic and not at all motivated to actually implement and put it to use. So if you are, doing a course or tutorials or some sort of thing, there should be some sort of interaction between the content and the implementation. There should be some sort of homework that is putting to use the thing that you're learning, right? So it should be, well, here's the thing. I could give you much more of a transformative experience with 1/10 the amount of information. And I could just feed it to you bite size by bite size. So I give you this little piece and I give you a little bit of homework in order for you to move forward with that and actually implement it and internalize it. And then you take a break. Then you come back for the next lesson, which is a little bite-sized piece of information. You immediately put that to use and so forth. And by doing this, you actually get information that you're putting directly to use into your own music so that you're actually finishing your music instead of just feeding someone else's ego. And here we go with the video getting stuck, which is going to drive me absolutely nuts. I don't know what's happening here. Hopefully it catches up. Yeah. All right, I think we're back. Cool. I don't know what keeps happening with this, but I'm just going to roll with it. So yeah, what you should be doing is, it shouldn't be like, what a lot of people do is they spend like 90% of their time binging and 10% of their time actually putting anything to use. And oftentimes they're just binging and producing, and there's no connection between the two. They're just watching videos. And then on another day, they're sitting down and trying to make music, but they're not actually using any information that they learned. It's like they're sitting down with a clean slate and a blank mind, or a mind that is so filled with information that they're not able to pick out the pieces that are most important. It's like filling your toolbox and it's so heavy you can't even take it anywhere, and you never know what tool to use because you were just given tons of tools, but you never learned how to use all of them, right? So all of this stuff, you should, instead of having the 90-10 of 90% binge watching and 10% spending your time actually making music, it shouldn't even be 50-50. What it should be is about 75-25 or 80-20. 80% making music and 20% learning if you need to, at the most. And when you're learning, what you should be doing, you should set a timer for like 15 minutes. And there's no reason why you can't get the information you need to move your song forward in about 15 minutes. Spend that 15 minutes, learn, stop the video, and get back into your song. And then keep rolling with that information as far as you can take it. And try to push yourself beyond your own limits. See if your brain will actually figure out how to solve problems instead of using tutorials as a crutch. And this way it really will empower you in your problem solving, because that's what music production is. It's all about problem solving. So if you're not teaching yourself how to solve your own problems, then you're always going to be using a crutch, because there's always going to be something new to learn. And you're always going to forget the last thing you learned when the next thing comes. So it's really important that you pay attention to what you're doing and how much of this you're actually internalizing so you can continue to use this information. And train yourself to solve your own problems. Really, really important. So that is pretty much all I had to say here. If you're on my Facebook page, I want you to go up to the pinned post. I am doing a free workshop. That's going to be really cool. I'm really stoked about it. I did mention it's free, right? And it's going to be on May 9th. I've got a little less than half capacity already filled up. So jump on it. I think I've only got 100 spots. I'm using Crowdcast, and with my account, I can only have 100 people at a time, which should be plenty. And I mean, if there's tons more people, then I'll try to do another live thing. But this is the only one that I'm planning to do. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be breaking down groove structures and actually teaching you how to listen to other songs and how to listen to groups and how to listen for all those little details that make a song come to life so that you can implement it into your own music. because there's a lot of things that are going on that you won't notice if you don't learn how to listen. And also there's a lot of sounds that actually are more than one sound put together. And so this will help you hear these complex sounds and understand how they are created with, several simple parts that are put together. So it makes it much, much easier for you to get into your sound design mode and figure out how a certain bass sound is made that sounds really complex, or how a kick sounds so full and snappy and whatever it is that you're looking for. That's usually a combination of sounds, not just one sound. If you try to create one complex sound, you're going to have a much harder time than if you understand that you can break these things down and combine several simple sounds. So that's what we're going to be getting into on May 9th. So I invite you to go to the pinned post and join. And if you're on YouTube, I will put the link somewhere in the comments. So check it out there. I'd love to have you on board. But that's it. If you're binge watching right now, stop and get to work. All right. Have a great day. Happy music making. Take care.